I'm Julia Jones. I'm the facilitator for today. It is now time for the ceremony of turning off the cell phones or setting them to vibrate. And as we do that, we can put aside our daily preoccupations and turn our attention to this hour that we have with each other. If you have an announcement or joy or sorrow that you would like to share, there are forms in the back of the room. Go grab one, fill it out, and someone will run it up to me and I'll read it out loud and you will be immortalized. Okay, we want to welcome everyone here, everyone in person and everyone on Zoom. Hi back there. And everybody else, stand up if you're able and willing. Wave at our friends on Zoom.
How intimidating that must be. A lady walks in the door and we're all ladies.
We like her.
If you're new here, please ask any one of us how to access the website, get involved in our activities, receive our newsletter, all that sort of stuff. Just ask someone and she'll say, gee, I don't know. Anyway, it's time for announcements now. We have, boy, do we have a few. Today's the first Sunday of the month, so we want to celebrate birthdays. Everyone who has a birthday in January, yay, wave your hand. Thank you. Do we need to sing happy birthday to them now?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. Becky will play. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear, whoever you are. Happy birthday to you.
Many more.
Also today at 1 o'clock, Free Thinkers will meet as usual. Tomorrow is the 6th of January, and that is Epiphany on the Christian calendar. In Mexico, the day is celebrated as Dia de los Reyes Magos, when the three kings or wise men come bearing gifts for baby Jesus and also for good little boys and girls. One of the ways to celebrate in Mexico is to have a rosca de reyes shared in a family gathering. It's a wreath-shaped sweetbread decorated with candied fruit, and there are figurines of baby Jesus baked inside. And each person gets to cut his own slice of the bread, and if their slice contains one of the figurines, that person's obligated to help make tamales for the next family gathering, which is approximately a month later. We have a Rosca de los Reyes today, so cut carefully. Moving on to Tuesday, Tina's hours will be at their usual 12:30 to 2:30 time, and she will be here to meditate at 11 in the morning if you would like to join her. Then the ladies' later in the week, the ladies' luncheon will be Friday at 11 o'clock at the Country House Restaurant, where their motto is good food, good friends, good fellowship. Yum, yum. Okay, I think that finishes the announcements. Are there any more? Okay. Because this is the first Sunday of the month, we also say our covenant of right relations together. Several years ago, we worked out a covenant of how we wanted to act with each other, and we want to remember and recommit to it each month. This is not a creed that you have to believe. It's a decision to act well in the community. If you feel comfortable with these guidelines, please read the covenant with me now. And they're going to show up. There they are, showing up on the screen. If you don't worry about it. Okay? We, the congregation of Sky Island Unitarian Universalist Church, covenant to treat all beings with compassion and kindness. Listen actively and speak responsibly. Speak understanding and be open to change. Acknowledge our imperfections. Oh, I got ahead of you, didn't I? Acknowledge our imperfections and our differences with good humor. Devote our energies to creating and maintaining a vibrant, beloved community among ourselves and in the greater world. And now we will have the lighting the chalice, a symbol of Unitarian Universalism. We'll have a quotation from Eric Hepburn, who calls himself a pulpiteer, a spiritual and worship leader of the San Gabriel Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Georgetown, Texas. Okay. As we grow and connect, mature and deepen, love remains the center. When the light of truth burns all else away, love remains. We are a caring congregation, and we share what gives us joy and what weighs heavily on our hearts. I'll read the joys and sorrows I have here. Are there any more in the back? No? People on Zoom, if you can put your joys and sorrows in the chat on Zoom, although I don't think anyone's watching today, and turn off mute and speak them out loud, and your voice will come out through the speakers, and we will all appreciate it. What we have here is, Gary writes that Lupe was in the hospital from the last of December to the 3rd of January for flu. She's home now, but it'll take a while for her to recover. Susie Fawcett was in the hospital in Tucson last Sunday with a mystery malaise. They discovered she was having issues with her gallbladder, and she is home, feeling much better without it. Joan Owen is in hospice. She'd still like to have visitors or phone calls. I have her phone number here. See me afterwards. I'm not going to read phone numbers out or you grabbing pencils and trying to write it down. Roland Bockhorst is at Life Care here in Sierra Vista after facing down pneumonia. He's in room 222, and he would like visitors. So we will put stones in this water for the sorrows and joys that we have mentioned, and also those that have not been. We now have a guest speaker today, Jerry Beale, who will lead us in a meditation.
Metta practice. Metta is a Pali word that Buddha spoke. It means loving kindness. It's one of the most important Buddhist practices. It is heartfelt wish for well-being for oneself and others. Others include friends, acquaintances, and people you might not like. The practice is the cultivation of our capacity for loving kindness. It does not involve either positive thinking or the imposition of an artificial positive attitude. There's no need to feel loving or kind during this practice. Rather, we meditate on our intentions, however weak or strong they may be. Buddhist tells us that intention is active not only in the things we do and say, but also in what we think. It is the force that drives action through body, speech, mind. Intention is present in every moment of our experience. Nothing happens without this volitional activity. In loving kindness practice, we water the seeds of our good intention. When we water wholesome intentions instead of expressing unwholesome ones, we develop those wholesome tendencies within us. When we water the seeds with regular practice, sometimes we get unexpected results. We might find that loving kindness becomes the operational motivation in a situation that previously triggered anger or fear. Metta practice complements mindfulness by encouraging an attitude of friendliness toward our experience, regardless of how difficult it may be. Mindfulness can bring freedom, Loving kindness ensures that our path to freedom is not a standoffish one from others. So let's just read this together. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be at peace. And may I be at ease. By the way, I do this a couple times a week. Not every meditation. Okay, the other one, please. So wait. I'm the leader here, you're the follower. So my thought was maybe we could start with Reverend Tina, may you be. And then just do it every time, okay? Reverend Tina, may you be happy. Reverend Tina, may you be well. Reverend Tina, may you be safe. Reverend Tina, may you be at peace. Reverend Tina, may you be at ease. See, and there's some smiles out there now, so I don't think that was too bad. The issue to me is you're supposed to do this to people who you don't feel the best about, and there are people out there in today's world that I cannot do it. Okay, now we're whipping into the sermon. I am not qualified as a teacher of Buddhism, or have I been trained by teachers, gurus, or monks, or any of that. But I've read many books, and I'm going to use the knowledge from those books right now. And the irony is I really didn't use those books very much on this one. Buddhism is the second oldest religion on the planet of Earth. The planet of Earth. Where did that come from? The oldest being Judaism. Buddhism and Unitarian Universalism value many of the same things, including experimental practice, study and self-inquiry, mindful awareness cultivation, insight wisdom development, and loving kindness, combined with active compassion in the world. This is the heart of sacred activism, empowering, educating, edifying, evaluating, transforming, and liberating. Buddha taught that they taught people not to worship him as a god. He said they were to take responsibility for their own lives and actions. He taught that the middle way was the way to nirvana. The middle way meant not leading a life of luxury and indulgence, but also not one of too much fasting and hardship. Buddhists try to live a good life by following the Buddha's teachings, helping them to avoid suffering and bad feelings. They believe nothing in this life is perfect, and the way to avoid suffering is to follow a set of important guidelines known as the Eightfold Path. That's kind of funny, I think. The Eightfold Path is divided into threefold training. The first two of the path are about wisdom, and that's right views and intention. The next three are about ethical conduct or morality, right speech, right conduct, right livelihood, and right effort. And the final three are about mental development or concentration, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And one of them that I didn't know is this right livelihood. And they talk about you need to, whatever you do for a living, you need to do, not hurt things, not be killing things, not, to live up to the Buddhist way of thinking. And it's, you think that there are a lot of people in the world, our armies and all of that, that's really kind of a hard problem. The Buddha sometimes described the practice of his teachings as the gradual training, because the Eight Noble Eightfold Path involves a process of mind and body transformation that unfolds over sometimes lengthy periods. The emphasis on gradual training may be understood by the fact that just as human habits that have given rise to suffering have been built up over long periods of time, and those same habits similarly take a long time to undo, requiring a sustained effort achievable only with genuine commitment to training. In the East, Buddhism is taught in the order of wisdom, then ethics, then concentration. In the West, it is taught the other way around, which leads us to mindfulness, which leads us to meditation. When mindfulness practice is thorough, all the other aspects of the Eightfold Path follow along in its wake. In mindfulness practice, we learn how to pay attention to the present moment. So when the suffering arises, we're able to notice it. We can learn how to be comfortable with suffering, so we don't act inappropriately because of our discomfort. We can begin to understand the roots of our suffering and let go of clinging. We cannot wait for our moral conduct to become perfect before we begin a meditation practice, nor should we ignore conceptual wisdom teachings in favor of waiting for them to arise as insight in meditation. Buddha also taught what he called truths. There are two kinds of basic truths in Buddhism: relative or worldly truth and absolute truth. We enter the door of practice through the relative truth. We recognize the presence of happiness and the presence of suffering, and we go in the direction of increased happiness. Every day we go a little farther in that direction, and one day we realize that happiness or suffering and suffering are not two. The Four Noble Truths were presented by Buddha as a relative truth to help enter the door. The three universal truths are everything in life is impermanent and always changing. Because nothing is permanent, life is based on possessing things or persons that doesn't make you happy. The third one is there is no internal, unchanging soul, and self is just a collection of changing characteristics and attributes. If you recognize and accept your pain without running away from it, you will discover that although pain exists, joy also exists. Without experiencing relative joy, you will not know what to do when you come face to face with absolute joy. Just stay in touch with what is actually going on, and you will touch the true nature of suffering and the nature of joy. Whether you suffer or not depends on many circumstances. Cold air can be painful when you're not wearing warm enough clothes. But when wearing warm enough clothing, cold air can be a source of joy. Suffering is not objective. It depends largely on the way you perceive. There are things that cause you to suffer that do not cause others to suffer. There are things that bring you joy, and they do not bring others joy. Our actions are our only true belongings. We cannot escape the consequences of our actions. Our actions are the ground on which we stand. To become the Buddha, then, first and foremost, we must wake up. To be awake is to pay attention, to be aware of what's going on around you, and to be aware what's going on inside you. Buddha summarized his teachings: do not believe in what you've heard. Do not believe in traditions because they have been handed down for many generations. Do not believe anything because it is rumored and spoken of by many. Do not believe merely in the authority of your teachers or elders. After observation and analysis, when it agrees with reason and is conducive to the good and benefit of for one and all, then accept it and live up to it. You think about in today's world, the irony of that, when Buddha was saying these things, there wasn't paper, there was no taking notes. So do we just not believe it? I don't know. To become Buddha, you must, first of all, have your own experience, encounter the realities of life, the inevitable of aging and death, the possibilities of illness and the loss of one's faculties. Then there is a need to re-examine the old ideas you've had, not only the religions you were taught, but re-examine your own perceptions, testing old ideas against new insights. It's called growth. Buddhist tradition is steeped with devas and gods, but not a creator. If a creator is necessary for it to be a religion, then is Buddhism a religion? The other big argument against Buddhism as a religion is that it doesn't require you to believe anything. And the irony of that remark is then they say, Buddhists believe in reincarnation. So that's one of my sticking points, because I do not believe in reincarnation. But if you believe in the Buddhist the Buddhist reincarnation, and you are not good, you might come back as an insect. And then think about how many generations it's going to take for you to become a human again. Buddha preached a religion devoid of authority. Each person must be his or her own authority. He preached a religion devoid of ritual, of trying to petition the gods for special favors. He preached a religion that skirted speculations. He preached a religion devoid of tradition. Of course, if he's starting out, there wouldn't be any tradition anyway, would there? He preached a religion of intense self-effort, a lifelong task. And in my way of interpreting it, a lifelong task of becoming the Buddha. He prepared a religion devoid of the supernatural. The religion he practiced was empirical. Personal experience was the final test of truth. You must know yourself. The religion he preached was scientific, dealing with the laws of cause and effect, not only in the material world, but in the world of spirit or the inner life. The religion he preached was pragmatic. He kept his attention to the real, down-to-earth problems and predicaments that we all encounter in life. He said that his teachings should be used as tools. They had no ultimate value beyond how they were used. Like the raft that takes you across the river, but it's of no further value after you get on the other side of the river. The religion he preached was therapeutic. One thing I teach, suffering and the end of suffering. The religion he preached was psychological, not in the way of metaphysical. It was agrarian. He rejected the caste system of his India. And finally, he preached a religion directed to individuals, while at the same time he affirmed the value of community or the Sangha. He emphasized the individual. And that's where be ye lamps unto yourselves comes in. I'm attracted to Buddhism because it does not require me to believe things that do not meet my experience. I don't have to take on someone else's word. I'm attracted to Buddhism by its peacefulness, for the loving kindness and the devotion of its practitioners display. Now I study more deeply, and the studies seem near infinite because we are talking about the human soul and human nature in 2,500 years of development. In an earlier life, I was always rushing, hurrying around, but to what end? Making collections of art and pottery, getting more tools to do projects that never occurred. I needed to calm down. I tried hypnotism. Although it was interesting, it didn't calm me down. I decided to try meditation. I got books. This would be another collection. The books were basic Buddhist meditation books, and after reading and trying meditation, I read the whole book, and I met the Buddha. After I started into my Buddhist trip, I became friends with Kathy Scott. With her constant smiling and beautiful nature on one hand, and Buddha telling me to be compassionate and joyful, I changed. My heart seemed to open up and compassion came out. Through meditation, I am calmer and more relaxed. I am joyful. This joyfulness is not euphoria, but it's just being more pleasant every day. We can learn to perceive the situation more clearly and respond more skillfully, that is, in a way which does not generate so much distress. The teaching of Buddhism was essentially guidance for learning to make that change in ourselves through behaving in ways which conduce to a calm, clear mind, clear conscience, in other words, and by devoting that clear mind to the direct observation of the stream of consciousness. This observation, when it occurs under special circumstances like sitting and watching the breath, is called meditation. When it occurs in the course of a daily life, it is mindfulness. This practice over time can bring about changes in the habits of the mind. I perceive that it has been this way for me. We all have a Buddha nature in us. This is not the Buddha himself, but with training, we could achieve enlightenment. I don't think there's enough time left for me to be enlightened, but I'm going to go as far as I can. What is Buddhism? Buddhism is about the Buddha's teaching and the teachings of those who have followed. It's been 2,500 years of teachings. Do you ever wonder if in another 100 years that there will be anything added to this from our generation? Thank you.
And now we will extinguish the chalice. You get to do it. And hear these words from Eric Hepburn. We extinguish this flame to remind us love is the center. As we explore and rest, engage and heal, love remains the center. When all we can see is cold ashes, love remains. And Becky will play us the postlude, after which you may turn on your cell phones and go in peace and love.